sending beats for free can help you as a producer. It just depends on if the scenario is right. Like, for instance, if Future or somebody like the Migos or anybody hit me up and they were like, hey, we want some beats for free. All right, cool, bro. We can do that. But let's figure out, like, let's do some royalties. Royalties is not you paying me. Royalties is what's made off of this song. So you got the beat for free. I still get paid. So I don't see why that would be a problem. You don't pay directly out of pocket when royalties come in. But a lot of artists don't want to do stuff like that because really the artist is getting screwed over themselves and aren't making that much money. So when you have artists that are like just trying to get free beats from everybody and constantly doing free beats, I would put money on it. 9 times out of 10, they're not making the money or doing what you would think that they're doing. And I know this firsthand just from experiencing it, seeing people, and actually being there when it happens. Like a lot of this is a gimmick and a show and a facade for people. And they just kind of play on it and try to use the clout or the attention to be like, oh, I'm doing you a favor. Hand me some free beats. When really we're both in the same position. I'm sitting in my apartment right now on my laptop talking to you, and the artist that's DMing me that's supposed to be clouded up and be this, that, and the third doesn't even have a house to go lay his head at night. He's jumping from different Airbnbs, staying on people's couches, but he got hella designer, he got hella clothes and all this other stuff. And on Instagram, it looks like he's shitting on people, but it's just like, I'm doing you, you're doing me a favor.
Exactly. I have been seeing this shit for years, and let me tell you one thing, it's not just in the bigger cities, it is everywhere. I've had people who are decked out in designer. They are like, they shoes cost more than my car, cause I drive like a beater car. They shoes cost sometimes 2-3 times more than my car, but they're trying to get me to buy a McDonald's for them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I don't know how many of these artists have asked me to like buy me a Uber or send me some bread real quick. I'm trying to get something to eat. My car's messed up. Your car's not messed up. Your piece ain't hitting. That's what it is.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's a show, man, and I hate to really like put it out there like that, but like a lot of these artists that people be listening to, like they're just regular people. I've met most of them. They're just regular people like you and I have regular conversation. The difference is they just have a bigger fan base than you do. So like that's why I don't feed into that whole clout thing. Clout is not real. I cannot go to Walmart and be like, hey, I produce for such and such and so. Can I get a free TV? My clout will give me that. No, that's stupid.
Exactly. So you said that you've met a lot of these people in person. When it comes to the people that you've worked with, you off rip were working with some of the biggest people in the underground at that time. Because I feel like some of the people that you were working with in like 2016, 2017, they still up now, but they not as up as they were.
They're not as much up, and I'm so glad you said that, and I can explain that to you exactly why that is. Because you're not the only person that's noticed that. The reason why that has changed is simply because these same artists that I was working with and was trying to do stuff with, was trying to do it the right way with, they felt like they was doing me the bigger favor. So I was just like, well, if you feel like you're doing me a bigger favor, I'll just step away and you continue to go up and do what you're doing. And then here you see it like a year later, like it's made a difference. Their sound has changed, their style has changed, their attention has changed, everything has changed. You got to realize as an artist, when people are attached to you and start looking at you and start really liking your music and really liking what you're about, it's because of the combination of sounds. It's the combination of the artist and maybe, for instance, if you have two artists that are always associated with each other, and then they have producers that they're always associated with, that is the sound. So when you switch and stray from that, that's when you start causing problems. Because why would you change something that was working?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's, your car is working perfectly fine, but you decide, you know what? It's not working good enough. Let me go in there and dig in and tune it up and try to do something, and then you fuck your car up.
Mm-hmm. If it ain't broke, do not fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see a lot of that. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't say that you should only be working with one producer.
Oh, not at all. But you should keep that sounding at home. You should definitely keep your original sound at home, the sound that helped you get into that position. Like I told you earlier, a lot of these artists hit me up and I send the beats, and the next thing I know, they use the beats, or either beats from me and China, and then that was one of their top songs that's when they started to elevate. And then, that should have been the sign, like, okay, you know what, I was using these other beats before, they were helping me out. Now I've kind of, stuck with this sound and been working with these people, and now it's really changed for me. Why would you stray away from that? Because you can tell the difference. Fans can tell the difference. That's why fans always use, their favorite thing is, I want to hear that old, whatever the name of the artist is. I want to hear that old Wayne. I want to hear that old Future, that old Gucci Mane, whatever it is. I'm not going to drop any names of any underground people at all, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, we all kind of know who we're talking about.
Yeah, you know exactly who we're talking about. And if you're thinking about a particular person, yeah, it's you. That's the person. That's who I'm talking about.
And even if you do stray away from the person that you were working with before, most of these people not only do they stray away from them, they burn bridges with them.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to burn? Like, because I'm just thinking about, all the people that I've seen burn bridges with the people that they were working with. It's going to come to a point where you burn all your bridges and no one's going to fuck with you.
Yeah, and then you'll get stuck in a situation where you just you have to use a certain person. You have to use something. So, like, let's say you burn 6-7 bridges with different producers, and then now you're stuck with somebody that you have to work with because y'all are on the same label. Like, let's just use that as an example. You guys are signed to the same label. Of course you're going to work with them. That you're on the same label. This producer's giving you beats for free, or whatever the situation is, or this producer continues to rock with you simply because they really like you, but you're stuck with them. Like, you're stuck in that niche just because you burned so many bridges.
Yeah, if they on a label, I mean, it's free, but it's not really free.
No, it's not free. I mean, they can take it out of your signing bonuses and your advances and stuff. So when the artist gets signed and you see them flashing a whole lot of money, it's a signing bonus. I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. It's the label's like, here goes X amount of dollars to sign with us. By the way, you got to pay it back, but here you go. Like, I don't think a lot of artists realize that. And speaking on paperwork, that is the craziest thing that I do not understand. Artists will sign their life away, their voice, their name, their cadence, anything, everything involving them. They have no ownership over anything. But if I were to ask that same artist, hey, let's do split sheets. I want 50% of the royalties. You get 50% of the royalties, or whatever. Then now they're scared to sign something. But you'll sign your life away to Interscope or Rock Nation or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's dumb.
Yeah. So I have a question about that, because I heard you saying this in some other little interview or something on YouTube, and I was thinking about what you were saying about that the label owns the voice, the cadence, the persona, and all that kind of stuff. So let's say a rapper, he signs and then he gets dropped or I mean, something happens where he's not on the label anymore, but the label still owns all that stuff and owns the name of the rapper and everything else. Could they bring in some other random person and say, oh, that, like, let's just say, for instance, that Cardi got dropped from his label or some shit, and let's say that they all owned all his cadence and everything else. Could they bring in some other random dude and say, that's Playboi Carti now? Is that what you're talking? Is that what you're saying?
No, they can't. They couldn't literally be like a random person and be like, all right, now we're changing your name to Playboi Carti. Like they couldn't do that. But labels will actually find an artist that is similar to his style and try to have that artist fit that sound to continue it. So like, it's more so done. It's easier for me to explain it on the aspect of being a producer. So I've had it to where labels have hit me up talking about beats. We want to hear some beats or whatever. And then they want to do work, and then they'll find some beats that they like, and then they send me a contract. And in this contract, it says things like, I'm giving them the right to the speed of my beat, the sound of it, maybe some of the sounds I use, the style of it, different things like that. So basically they could go and be like, all right, well, if this producer doesn't pan out, we can just go to one of our producers that's signed to our label. So let's say, for instance, I'm signed let's say they've come to me for beats or whatever, and it's Interscope. Let's say Interscope has a producer, and they've signed paperwork with that producer, and he's signed with Interscope, and then Interscope is talking to me and in contact with me, talking about my beats and things like that. They may take my beats to a producer in Interscope and be like, hey, can you make something similar to this? A label will absolutely do that, and that's actually written in paperwork. And most of the time, it goes the same way for artists. So an artist usually don't even read their contract all the way through, or don't read everything line for line, and they will definitely take another artist that sounds similar to somebody and be like, all right, we kind of want you to sound like them and do like them and this, that, and the third. You kind of already have the style, and we're going to push you as if you are them, but they're not going to like give you that person's name.
Jeez. So they can legally bite your sound.
Yeah, because you signed it away. You don't own it anymore. And then lots of times, even if you get dropped from a label or you leave a label or whatever, like they still own your music. So you basically will leave the label naked. Like you have no ownership over your sound. You don't have ownership over your name. They may give it back to you if you leave or whatever. Like, they're not going to hold your name. But as far as your music and your content, no, they'll keep that forever. So you could be signed to one label and then move to the next label and then move to another label after that. And then the first label still owns some of your music. And then sometimes in contracts, it doesn't matter even if you move to different labels for a certain time period. It may be 5 years, 10 years, or whatever it is. They still own every portion of everything you make, and you may not even be signed with them anymore. Lots of artists do not read their contracts. I'm not making this up or just giving you hypothetical things. These are in contracts that people have sent me and asked me to look at it, or either are contracts that I was given from a producer standpoint. And it's like, this contract is basically, y'all want me to sign over my whole style, my whole name, and everything that makes me Milan Makes Beats, and y'all want me to sign this over to you as if you own it. There's a contract that I have right now with the song currently where they asked for exclusive rights to the beat. I gave them exclusive rights, thinking the situation would be different than what it actually was. It didn't turn out the way that I thought, and they own everything as far as that beat goes. That beat doesn't. They might as well take my name off of the beat.
Well, I was thinking when you were talking like that, when you were saying that that they own your sound and everything else, I think of the labels are almost. It's like predatory. It's like very predatory that they're preying on the sound, and as soon as they get you in, that's all they give a shit about. They don't really give a shit about you at all. They give a shit about your ideas and your originality and everything else, and then they now own it.
Yeah, it's not even the sound with labels. You got to realize, man, these labels have been around for a while, for several years now. Lots of these people, these label heads that are up in deep in the labels, they're like my parents' age. They have no clue about this sound or what it needs to sound like or how it needs to sound or anything like that. They're in it for a profit. Like, they want cultural relevance. They will sign somebody that is completely trash just because they are popping. I'm not gonna say any names, but if you think of a rapper that you feel is trash, that's why they got signed, because they are culturally relevant. They are popping right now. They are fire. They're hot shit. Like, they're getting millions and millions of plays, and they could be singing ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the beat, and it's not shit. Like, that's what I don't like about labels. They're out there to prey on people and to take advantage of people and take money from people. Not all labels, but they're definitely going to approach you like that, because when they see an artist that is doing well on their own, all they see is dollar signs. Because lots of these artists will be doing well, getting millions of plays, and don't actually know how to collect the money and know how to get to the money. And so the label will come to them and be like, "Oh, we can help you get the money, but we want 30% off top for the label, and we'll give you 50% after that." So most of these contracts that people are given, they're not even getting a full 50% of 100. They're getting a 50% of 70% because most labels take 30% off top. So if you're an artist, you're getting 30% taken off top, so you're really left with 70%. All right, you following me?
Yep.
Because I'm about to break it down and show you some math problems and show you why a lot of these artists be mad at the producers when they don't want to give up exclusive rights. So you're getting 50% of 70%, which if you cut that in half, that's 35%, right? So the producer will get 35% because he did half the work. He made the beat. Now let's say you have an artist on there that's signed and then he has a feature. Now you have to split that 35% in half, which is like 17 something percent, something like that. Yeah, something around that range. So now you're not even, it's on your paperwork it says 50%, but your label took 30 off top, so you're left with 70. Now you splitting that with the other person that's on the feature, plus you're splitting it with the producer. You're not making the money that you think. That's why you have to be making crazy, crazy numbers, which is why they put these artists on billboards everywhere. They put them on World Star. They put them on Complex and do all this promotion for them so they can have the biggest opportunity to make as much money as possible so that they can actually accumulate some real money off of them. But if artists stayed independent and they're already popping and do their own thing and figure out how to make money on their own and figure out how to collect it on their own, because it's so easy, it's not hard at all, they're just lazy, then you would be making the money that you would think that the artist is making, if that makes sense.
All right, so yeah, like I was saying, the label takes off the 30%. Usually, that's usually about it, anywhere between 15 to 30% or something like that, because the label has to get paid too. The label is its own entity by itself, and then after the label gets paid, that's when they split the 70% in half and they start to pay out people. But also too, a lot of people are a lot of artists are brought contracts. So like, let's say you are a rapper yourself and I'm involved with a label like Interscope or something like that. And I say, hey man, I can get you hooked up with Interscope. I'll bring you in and put you on. And so you're like, okay, naturally. And you get signed. And then in your contract, you have to pay me a portion of it too. So there's people getting paid off of artists that have no purpose. They strictly just brought the paper. They strictly printed off a piece of paper and showed it to the artist and said, sign this. I got you put on, and I want 3% of your royalties or something. There's a lot of artists out there like that.
It's crazy that you're like breaking it down like this because it was this site that I was on. I think it was called Udemy, and I took this class. And what it was this Warner Brothers executive who was the senior executive at Warner Brothers, and he made this class. It was artist management, and he was breaking it down how, like, the manager will take a cut, he'll take his cut, and then the booking agent takes a cut, and then like all these other random people are taking cuts of the money.
Are taking cut. The dude that's in the studio rolling backwards in the background that does absolutely no purpose is taking a cut strictly because he knows the dude and he says, "Oh, I'm his manager." If your manager cannot read a contract to you and explain it to you exactly to a T what it is, that shouldn't be your manager. And I've been in different situations where people are saying, yeah, talk to my manager and we'll figure out the paperwork. And so I send my manager that actually knows how to do this to talk to him. And then it's like, why am I talking to you? Because you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You're getting broken off money from this artist and you're not even doing what your job title is.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know how to actually manage artists. I think a lot of it is, sadly, I think a lot of people just have managers just to look cool, just to look like their status is up.
Yeah, exactly. So people will hit contact information in their bio, like my manager here, whatever. And it's just somebody they know personally. That's just their friend. Their manager doesn't if your manager can't read a contract to you, if something goes down and you don't know how to fix it or what's going on, that's a bad manager. You're actually a prime candidate to be preyed on when you have a manager that does not know what they're talking about, because then it's like, oh, his manager doesn't know what he's talking about. They're just going to sign anything we send them. And that's how labels get people.
Exactly. Because I don't know if a lot of people know this right now, because again, I took the artist management, the class, and two things. One, if you don't look at it right, you are giving your artist your manager the power of attorney. He can sign contracts in your name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he can sign contracts for you in your name. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. I've been in that situation where somebody had the power of attorney over a contract and signed something with the artist's name, and they didn't know nothing about it. And then the artist is mad at me, and I'm like, bro, your name's on here. Like, you got this signed. I didn't have anything to do with that, man. I did this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, I don't have nothing to do. I don't know what to tell you. You should have read your contract. I've had people tell me that they signed the contract and did not read it, and then I've talked to that same person and tried to explain one of my contracts of just trying to do royalty splits to them, and they don't want to hear it. But you'll sign a contract and have not read it. You told me you didn't read it. Not I assumed you didn't read it. You literally came out your mouth and said, no, I didn't read it. They gave me a paper bag of some money and said, here you go. You're signed now. It's crazy, man.
That's Jesus. Yeah, there's all kind.
That's why you have a lot of artists fall out with their producer because the artist usually is the one that doesn't really know what's going on. They just sign in paperwork because they got a paper bag full of money in front of their face, and then the producer's like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm not signing anything, and don't know what's going on. And it seems like y'all are just trying to give me something, and being a producer, I know how it goes. Like, I know I'm going to get the short end of the stick, so why would I do that?
Dude, it's so sad because these labels know that these kids are broke. These labels know that they can flash 50K in their face, which
and then they'll bite down on
which
it.
ain't shit for an advance.
No, it's nothing. People sign for 30K and not be getting anything out of it significantly.
Oh my God.
They'll tell you that. And another thing is, lots of times in their contracts, they'll tell you, oh, we'll do this much for promotion, we'll do this much for this, or no, not even this much. We'll do promotion for you. We'll do your publishing, your this, that, and the fourth. Look at your contracts and all that stuff. But they don't specify to the extent. So they could say, we're going to promote your album, knowing that the most promotion that you'll get is they're going to tweet about it off of their page, and then that be it, and then tweet a million other things on top of what they just tweeted. But that's your promotion. That's what you signed for. You like, they try to get you like as best as they can, and a lot of other people don't realize when they send you a contract, you don't have to sign it. You can send them a secondary contract back and be like, I want revisions to it. I need this change, and this change. And if they really want to rock with you and really want to work with you and do something with you, they'll hear you out and listen to it. But a lot of people just don't I'm gonna sign it because they're gonna give me X amount of money.
Exactly. And a lot of people are probably afraid that if they ask for a revision, then they're gonna be like, oh well, forget it.
Forget it. Yeah, no, that's not the case, because you got to think, when they hand you that contract, they've sent that exact same contract to a million other artists. The only difference is they white out the other person's name and put your name on top of it.
Exactly.
They give you a run of the mill kind of contract.
Exactly. This shit is not personalized. These people think,
no, not at all.
These artists are probably thinking that, Atlantic Records believes in me, Warner Brothers believes in me, they believe in my career. No, they believe in your fucking money.
They believe in the ability for you to make money. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Labels do not hit you. I put it like this: labels do not hit you up because they really like your music that much. Because if that was the case, people would be getting signed that have no fans at all whatsoever, and then they put them and they turn them into a star, which it happens, but that you generally don't see that. You don't see an artist just pop out of nowhere like a random person you've never heard of any of their song, and then all of a sudden this label is pushing them like to the stars, like here he is, he's a star now. That doesn't happen.
The only people that I see that happen with, and I was talking to Corey Lingo about this, the only people I see, yeah, he is for sure.
Yeah.
But I was talking to him about this. The only people that you do see come out of nowhere like that now are these YouTubers that are already popping, and they now are trying to rap.
Yep, that happens a lot.
Yeah, and the thing is, it don't even really matter too much anymore, because if you get signed to a label and you already popping as a YouTuber, you already got the attention on you they could just like hire ghostwriters. They don't need you to actually know how to do anything.
Yeah, there's lots of artists that have ghostwriters. There's lots of your favorite artists right now that I know for a fact have ghostwriters and strictly got signed to labels just to ghostwrite for a different artist because that artist can't does it's they're good or whatever. Or it's just their talent wise they can only you can only do so much with what the artist is doing. And what I mean by that is like there's only so many ways that you can tell me you fucked my bitch, smoked the hella backwoods, stole some shit from me, hit a lick and hit a stand. There's only so many different combinations of how you can say that same stuff in each song. So eventually you do have to get a ghostwriter. Drake has ghostwriters, clearly. Like we all know that.
Drake got a whole sweatshop at OVO ready, man. And the thing is, that's a big reason why The Weeknd and him had a falling out, because The Weeknd, a lot of people don't know this, The Weeknd pretty much exclusively wrote about 50% of the entire Take Care album.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, man. I wish I could drop names to tell you like, oh, this artist he ghostwrites for this person. I wish I could tell you stuff like that and it not get any backlash. But there's a lot more artists out here that you would think are doing their own thing, but they're getting so much help from their label. They're really just a face and a body and a voice. Because they don't even own anything else past that. I've seen a label where literally the voice of this person, this particular artist, they own his actual voice. So if I were to drop this song that I have in the vault with him, they would probably try to hit me with copyright infringements because they own his voice. It wouldn't work because there's no producer agreement. So if there's no producer agreement, everything defaults back to the producer. But they would probably try to hit it with copyright infringements because they own this person's voice.